Lucy, Kunal, it is wonderful to speak with you. Thank you so much
Hey,
for the time.
thank
Thanks.
you.
The film's a joy. What a
Thank you.
wonderful story and film. Thank you so much for sharing it with us.
Thank you so much.
That's a really sweet way to describe it. A joy.
Yeah.
It really is. It really. Now, did I see correctly? You two are some of our two EPs, like exactly on this particular film.
Yeah.
Uh, So, what was it about this particular story that made you want to bring it to life?
I mean, I think you described it perfectly. What you felt is kind of what we felt when we read the script. It was a joy. It was a journey, a beautiful journey about second chances and life after loss. And I think Lucy will also emulate this, but we felt something. It's not often when we read a script that we have a physical reaction to it, whether you laugh or you cry. And it really tugged at my heartstrings.
Yeah, I mean, exactly that. And I don't know if it's because like Kunal and I, we read so much or that life just hardens you or a combination of the both, but it's rare that I'm like, I have to be a part of this. These are the stories that I want to tell. And then that to actually physically cry and laugh out loud, that just doesn't happen that often. So
Yeah.
it just felt really special and I'm honored to be a part of it.
It really is such a wonderful story. And I'm just wondering for you both, what is the power of stories? Like let's be serious. This is a film about stories. It's a film about not just books, but stories in general. What do you think gives stories their power or their value?
I mean, what gives stories their power or value is probably, in my opinion, truth. The story is truthful. It's all of us have felt at some point in our life grief, loss, storms that we feel will never pass. Also the power of innocence, of beauty, of love. These are all things that we can connect to. And like we said earlier, when you read the script, these are all things that we related to. And that is the power of these stories, that when you're watching it, you can see a part of yourself in it.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, just what books meant to me growing up and what they mean to me now, I think it's perspective, right? And it's connection. It's just like when you hear a song and you go, that's exactly how I feel. That's how I
Mhm.
felt and feel reading a book. And I think if you were someone, I was a little girl in Tennessee who didn't know any other people other than who were inside my bubble, but I always felt different. And when I read a book that was from the perspective of someone who felt like me, it made me feel less alone. So I think
Mhm.
ultimately stories are about connection. And, just to wrap that into AJ Fikry, like this is a movie, we don't really make movies like this anymore. And I think we need to. And like I said, I just feel so grateful to be a part of a really special story.
I love that you use the word connection because I feel like that's sort of I mean, not just for your two characters, but for so many of the characters in this film. It's not just about what their favorite book is. But there's something about the stories that gives them life, and it's such a special thing that we see between your two characters.
It's so
Yeah.
enjoyable to watch you trying to explain this because I know this movie meant something to you and I can hear it in your voice and see it in your face. And for us, just to have this experience talking to you is why we do this.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that means a lot. Thank you. I appreciate it. So I just a couple of things. One of the things that comes up in the film, I think it's you, Lucy. I think it's your character. Talks about she takes an overly romantic view of things.
Hmm.
Yes.
And I was just wondering if you think that do we romanticize life too much?
Yes, but is that a bad thing? I don't think it is. Like, I definitely can, just as a human being, I can build things up or put them on a pedestal. But I also think that that's just like expecting the best out of people and of situations. And like, yeah, that can maybe set yourself up to be let down. But I think it's a I think it's a beautiful way to live life. Like I do romanticize things, and that's just I don't know. I'm just kind of
I
hard.
don't think we do it enough, right, Lucy? I don't think
Yeah,
we
maybe.
criticize the world enough. I think we need more of it.
Yeah.
You said so beautifully. Why not? What's the
Right.
opposite? Why,
Yeah.
build stuff up, make it romantic. What a beautiful way to live.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's true. I think we live in this tension where sometimes we want to romanticize it, and other times we live in this world that's so flat and pieced together. But
Yeah.
there's almost a delight in believing your story. It matters that it lands, and I'm not suggesting that they don't. I'm suggesting the opposite. But it is interesting to think of it that way.
Yeah, definitely.
Of course, there's all sorts of literary conversations in this film.
Mhm.
But I would love to know whether you think that AJ is a hero, because there is a conversation about him, or about, of course, Lucy, your character is reading A Good Man is hard to find, but there is a conversation about being heroic, about adopting a child. I'm just wondering, do you consider him a hero? Or what does it mean to be one? Maybe that's a better question.
I consider, I think there is something heroic about saving a child's life. I think that there's something heroic about having the strength to move on after loss. But I don't think that heroes think they're heroes.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think that people just do what is necessary when the time is called upon them to react in a way that is required of them, and then that becomes your life.
That's a really perfect answer. So I'm not going to even say it. That's really, yeah.
You got that from a book. No,
He's like reading it off
that's right. That's right.
right now.
What was that again? Just a second. Okay. No.
But Kunal talks that way all the time. Everything he says is profound. I need to just start.
No, shut up.
No, you are like this all the time, though.
I also talk a lot about poop. Yeah.
That is also true. That is also true.
Fantastic. Well, you can be philosophical about poop as well.
Yeah, exactly.
True.
That's absolutely true. I was wondering, for you both, are there stories that define is the wrong word, but I would say stories that you connect with more deeply. I almost said define your life, but no, not a story that defines your life, but stories that you say, when I think of this, I think of myself.
Good question.
I mean, I think for me, just as a female, I gravitate towards women talking about subjects that are still a little more taboo, because I think just as women, we're expected to present ourselves in a certain way. So I'm always drawn to really, I don't even want to say flawed, because we're all flawed as people, but honest stories about women that are, we've made strides telling them, but there's still so much more to go in that area. So I like seeing the truth of how women really feel and how we're perceived. And I don't know if that answers your question, but but that's where I stand on it.
Yeah, and similarly, I like to play characters that are not so defined by their ethnicity. I mean, AJ Fikry, I guess Fikry is Indian, but we never answer the question, why does he sound like that or look like that? He's just a guy who owns a bookstore in a small town, and I think that's for me, it's a really wonderful opportunity to show the world that I can be a lead in a movie like this without having to answer why I'm ethnically Indian.
I love that. I love that. And thank you both. Honestly, we're running out of time. I just wanted to say thank you so much for your time and for the film. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks
so much. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too.
You too.
Don't worry, like you never stopped.